Hello students, today we are going to study the poem of Thomas Hardy, The Darkling Thrush. This is in the syllabus of class 11th and 12th ISC. This poem has been written by Thomas Hardy and this is actually said to be a meditative poem. A poem in such a way in which we are at the end of the 19th century and moving towards the 20th century. So when one century ends and the people are moving towards the new century, the 20th century, the poet starts with a gloomy atmosphere and the spirit of dejection. There is no hope left and it seems that everything is changing. The civilizations, the social and economic states, everything, the religious beliefs are changing with the change of the century. So the poet feels dejected, depressed by these changes and he has no hope. He feels that what things can replace the civilization which is ending up. When immediately in this gloomy atmosphere, a thrush is a bird who sings a song. A thrush immediately in this gloomy atmosphere starts singing with an open heart. And that song surrounds the atmosphere with the warmth of hope. And the poet thinks that what is the cause behind the hope that the bird is having, which he lacks, and is longing to have that hope in himself. So it shows, the song of the bird also shows that still there is some hope left in this new century in which we can proceed further. So this is the beginning of Darkling Thrush. This was the introduction. Here I have written some things about the poem, and that is the use of diction. Thomas Hardy in his poems always uses diction. Diction means he uses his own choice of words. Like he can mix up 2-3 words and make new complex words. In this poem we will be seeing some words like outlent, blast, beruffled, spectre, grey. These are some of the new words which are never used in our common language or in any other poems. He has a speciality of using special words in his poems. Plus he has used an unusual word of other poets like darkling. The title of this poem is The Darkling Thrush. So darkling word has been taken from Lower Beach and a poem, Ode to Nightingale, which was written by John Keats. So some of the words are such words which are newly formed, and that is a quality of diction which is presented by Thomas Hardy. So now let's start with the stanzas. The first stanza is in a lyrical type of poem, having rhyme everywhere. It is just like a song which represents what feelings are there in the people and what the poet feels. I leant upon a Coppic gate when frost was spectre grey and winter's dregs made desolate the weakening eye of day. The tangled vine stems scored the sky like strings of broken lyres, and all mankind that haunted nigh had sought their household fires. So here the poet is saying that he is standing at a gate. The entrance gates towards the new century. Beyond the gate is present the old century, which is a barren land. In front of the gate is the forest or the woods star. So Coppic is a barren land. So he is standing and he is leaning at that gate. Leaning means he is very tired and dejected with the change of the century. New changes are coming up in a very fast speed which he cannot accept, which people cannot accept. And he says that as the sun is setting down, frost and snow is covering everything in the atmosphere, and the winter's dregs make desolate means as the sun is setting down and the atmosphere becomes dark. So the snow that covers the entire atmosphere is making it very gloomy atmosphere. The weakening eye of day, eye is sun. As soon as the sun is setting down slowly and slowly, it gives the atmosphere of a ghost. A ghostly atmosphere is being shown in the entire poem due to the coverage of the snow everywhere and the dark atmosphere. The tangled vine stems. One thing more I would like to say, when frost was a spectre grey. See, spectre grey. See, generally what happens when the sun sets and before it gets dark, it is a twilight time. At that twilight time only the atmosphere has become grey, giving it a ghostly look. Because there is no one on the street, it is quite deserted. All the streets are deserted. It seems as if there is no life anywhere. The tangled vine stems coat the sky like strings of broken lyres. See, lyre is a musical instrument which looks like a harp. Harp is also a musical instrument. So he sees that there are stems of a vine. Vine means shrub. So the stems of the shrub are entangled in each other in such a way that it reminds him of the broken strings of that lyre instrument. Lyre is a musical instrument. If the strings are broken of any musical instrument, there is no music, no harmony, no sound at all. Which means it gives a deserted look, a desolated look everywhere. So this, the tangled vine stems reminds him of the gloomy atmosphere. And all mankind that wanted nigh had sought the household fires. Now, because everything is becoming desolate, what about the rest of the human beings? The poet is standing outside in the frost, while the rest of the mankind, they are present in their houses. They are present in their houses, sitting beside their fire and taking the warmth of it. They have no concern with the outside world, which shows that they are from inside feelingless. They have lost all their emotions, no harmony is left, no feelings for each other, and this shows that the feeling of humanity has become dead in human beings. This was the first para, the first stanza, which shows that the poet is quite dejected and hopeless, and he is standing at a gate from where the new century is going to begin, and this is the end of the 19th century where he is standing. He sees that there is no hope left as new changes are coming in the 20th century, which he is unable to accept. And the tangled vine stems remind him of a broken strings of lyre, which show that there is no harmony left, there is no sound, nobody is there on the street. Everybody is enclosed in their houses, taking the warmth of the fire, while the poet is standing outside in the frost and barren land. He has no hope left. So let's see what the second stanza says. The land's sharp features seem to be the century's corpse outlet. Now here, land's sharp features, and this shows that the land where he is standing, it seems like the sharp features of a corpse. Corpse is a dead body. So here he is using a metaphor that this entire land is looking like the dead body of the 19th century. He script the cloudy canopy, and the clouds that surround the sky are just like a cover to cover the dead body of that 19th century. While the wind that is blowing looks like it is singing a sad song for the end of the 19th century. It is a lament song, a death lament. The ancient pulse of German earth was shrunken hard and dry. The seeds that had been sown in spring season now have become hard, they have shrunken, and they have dried up, which shows that the process of regeneration in nature has also come to a standstill. Nothing is left, no life is left, and every spirit upon the earth seemed fervorless as I. Fervorless means having no feeling, no passion, no harmony, no emotion for each other. Everybody seems like a corpse, seems like a spirit which has no feelings for each other, and there is no feeling of hope left anywhere. Third stanza says, at once a voice arose among the bleak twigs overhead, in a full-hearted, even song of joy unlimited. Immediately in this gloomy atmosphere, he hears a sweet song of a bird from above the twigs of a tree, and that was a thrush bird. Thrush is a songbird which has brown plumage and spotted chest. This bird was frail, gaunt. That means it was old, had become very weak, and it was waiting for its imminent death. Imminent means the coming death. It can die at any time, but still it was singing with its full heart. Had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the glowing moon. In this gloomy atmosphere, the poet is unable to understand what makes the bird so happy that it is singing with its full heart. It is singing so nicely and so loud that it fills the entire atmosphere with the warmth of hope. Then comes the next stanza. So little cause for carolings. Carolings are the carols that are sung in the church of such ecstatic sounds. Ecstatic means in joy. The bird is singing in, you can say, full joy. Was written on terrestrial things afar or nigh around. The song of the bird has filled the entire gloomy atmosphere, whether near or far, with a spirit of hope. It seems as if the carols are being sung in the church. That I could think there trembled through his happy good night air. So the poet is thinking what has made the bird so happy that it is still filled with hope, although it is waiting for its impending death, the imminent death, but still it is singing with its full heart. This means it may either be due to the religious and the spiritual reasons due to which the bird was singing. Some blessed hope means the religious and the spiritual feelings that were there in the bird which made it sing with full joy, whereof he knew and I was aware. Maybe the bird knows, but I do not know. The poet says that I do not know what is the main cause behind the song of the bird and what is the spirit of hope that is filled in the bird, which I do not know. Maybe in some time we may come to know that what was the reason of the bird singing so ecstatically, with joy and with full energy. So here we come to know that darkling thrush may, though the centuries are changing from 19th century, we are moving towards the 20th century. Here the poet is feeling dejected because the industrial revolution has also occurred. More and more changes are taking place, whether it is socially, economically, politically, religiously, which he is unable to accept immediately. So in this gloomy atmosphere in which he is feeling dejected and there is no feeling of hope, immediately a songbird starts singing, giving it, you can say, giving the entire atmosphere a warmth of hope and joy. And so the poet also feels that something is left still in which we can feel happy and we can feel a lot of joy. Now let's look at the themes. One thing more that we are seeing here, that the poet has used some words like blast, beruffled plume, which was the plumage of the bird, which was brown colored, the songbird. This is a new word which has been formed through diction by Thomas Hardy. Then we have got some words like outlent, spectre grey. Spectre grey was giving it a ghostly atmosphere all around. So these are the words that have been used. Now let's look at the theme also. So let's look at the theme also. First theme is nature. See, nature has the total, you can say, nature is always continuously changing. It has no concern with how the human beings feel when there are changes in nature. So here in Thomas Hardy's poem, nature is governed by cycle of life. The cycle of life keeps on going. It has no concern how the people feel. It is indifferent to the feelings of the people. So here Thomas Hardy, The Darkling Thrush, is about the death of hope. In the 19th century, there is no hope. Everybody is feeling dejected, especially the poet is feeling dejected towards the end of the 19th century. And all the people have lost hope in God and religion. And there is no other power on which they could believe who can help them out to come out of this dejected situation. So Hardy has depicted that through a barren landscape, this thing that nobody has left hope in God. Everybody has lost the hope from God, and they are unable to find out a real power who can help them out to come out from the dejected situation. So here the poet initially says, I am leaning on a Coppic gate, and Coppic gate means the gate that opens into the woods. That is the beginning of the 20th century. But he is feeling dejected and he is unable to accept the new changes. Civilization has decayed and he finds nothing to replace that civilization. So the only thing that is left is the leftover memories, the sweet memories, the melodious memories of the previous century, which keeps him engaged. And here also we are seen in this theme, they are saying that the approach of night and darkness increases a gloomy atmosphere, and even it makes the poet more dejected, more depressed. So they remind him, and even the tangled vine stems, they remind him of the broken lyres, broken strings of the lyre, which shows that everybody has lost the feeling of harmony, the feeling of emotions for each other. And now nobody is concerned with the business of the other. They are only concerned with themselves and taking the warmth in their houses. So two contrasting situations are shown, that the poet is outside in the barren frost land, while rest of the human or mankind are present in their homes taking the warmth of the fire. And even the landscape is considered to be the corpse of the 19th century. And then the poet also says that the seeds which were sown in the spring season have now become dry, shrunken, hard, and these seeds which were considered to be taking up the process of germination, so the process of germination has also stopped. That is, a cycle of regeneration has stopped or come to a standstill. Then he also compares every human being and himself to be fervorless. Fervorless means having no feeling of passion, intensity towards each other, having no emotions. Everybody seems like a spirit, moving here and there, having no concern with each other. So, here it is said that a symbolic projection of a speaker's own life is given through the landscape, because the landscape represents the end of the 19th century, and here the landscape also represents that every human being has lost all the hope that anything new or something full of hope will happen in their life. Then comes a second theme, that is search for meaning. Here it is said the speaker's despair in the poem echoes Hardy's own search for meaning in the world, where he finds no hope for humanity's future. So here we are said that we are told that Thomas Hardy is representing his own feelings as he is trying to know the real meaning of the world, because he thinks that humanity has been lost. and there is no future for humanity further with the change of the century. And since the old civilization has decayed, people are unable to know that what will replace that old civilization, and will they be able to accept the new civilization. As the people and the poet is feeling dejected in the entire gloomy atmosphere, immediately the song of a songbird is heard, which fills the entire atmosphere with hope and full of joy. But the poet is unable to know that why the bird is feeling so happy, though the bird is weak, frail, gaunt, and is about to meet its impending death. But still the bird is full of hope, and it is singing with full heart, which is compared to the carolings of the church, the carols which are sung in the church, and it is also said to be an evensong, a song which is sung in the evening prayers which are offered to God. So it shows that the bird song shows that still there is some light of hope which is left, which is still the poet and the rest of the human beings have to find, and later they will come to know what is that light of hope. So these were the themes. Then diction we have seen as the, you can say, figure of speech. Alliteration, you people know when the consonants are repeated again and again, like the tangle bind stems sport the sky. So SSS has been repeated in this. Then comes metaphor, the weakening eye of day. Here, as I have told you previously, that eye means sun. When the sun is setting, immediately the entire atmosphere becomes dark. Although twilight is not so dark, but it has become so dark and the atmosphere becomes gloomy. So the weakening eye of day, comparison of setting sun to an eye, because sun is the powerhouse of energy. So when the entire world turns away from sun, everything turns out to be dark. Then simile, the tangle bind stems over the sky like strings of broken lyre. As I told you that the tangled stems which are intermingled with each other of the shrubs, they represent the broken strings of the musical instrument lyre. So like has been used for simile. Then personification name, twilight as the weakening eye of day. Twilight is considered to be just like a person. The landscape as the century's corpse. So the landscape has been personified as the corpse of the 19th century. Then comes synecdoche, in which a part is made to represent the whole or vice versa. Like we can say spirits and fervorless. Spirits means the whole human, you can say the whole humanity has been taken as one word, spirits, and fervorless for all human beings, that all of them have lost feelings and passion for each other. So these are the figures of speech. So mainly we have come to know in this that as the centuries are changing, how the people are feeling here, and there is no light of hope left, when immediately a songbird gives an inspiration that still there is some hope left, which we people have to still find. Hope you like this poem, you have understood the concept, and if you like it, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel. We'll come with more of the stories and the poems of class 10th and 12th. Thank you.